When I was a teenager, we had gone to a burger joint after our basketball game. There were kids from several high schools in there eating and socializing. When we got ready to leave, several groups of teenagers were leaving at the same time. We had driven about 3 to 4 miles when we saw a car in the opposite lane begin drifting toward our lane. The first car he met dodged him, the second car ran off the road, and the third car, ours, almost hit the ditch. Mother turned around quickly and drove back. My friends and I jumped out of our car and ran to the scene. We recognized the car as one that was leaving the grill at the same time we left. We knew the two inside. They were friends who had graduated from a local school, and they were both dead. No one paid attention to who was behind the wheel of the other car. They were walking around, and our friends were dead. I didn't witness the event, but I did deal with the aftermath. Oddly, there were 2 different instances of this that happened within a month of each other, both to people who were under 25, attractive and intelligent. I was an addictions therapist. My clientele came exclusively from the local hospital emergency department. They had been screened by an interventionist there and referred to me for therapy. Both these people were suffering from acute liver failure. Obviously, in the world of alcoholism and drug addiction, with rampant hepatitis C, liver troubles aren't uncommon. But one doesn't usually see it in people this young. The cause? In each case, the person had downed multiple Vicodin tablets, which contain hydrocodone and acetaminophen Tylenol, and chased it with a quart of 90 proof booze. The overdose of acetaminophen alone would have destroyed the liver, but the huge amount of alcohol simultaneously sealed the deal completely. I saw each of these 2 people for 2 sessions about a week apart. After that, I had to visit them in intensive care at the hospital. When the liver fails, the system becomes flooded with ammonia, among other things, and the brain is basically soaking in piss. The person cannot think straight after that. There are drugs that bring temporary relief from this, but no cure. Their only hope would have been a full liver transplant. Unfortunately, people who haven't demonstrated at least 6 months, or sometimes more, of sobriety and abstinence from all drugs before being allowed on the transplant list. This was a physical impossibility for both these folks, so all I could do is sit and watch them die. For some reason, the thing that bugs me the most is that the drug that did them in wasn't even something you can get high on. I've been told that the main reason they put the acetaminophen in with the opioid drug is to prevent a patient from taking too much of the narcotic. Obviously, when someone is already extremely high, they aren't thinking about the Tylenol content, they just want that dope. It killed these 2 before they turned 25. When I was in my early 20s, a large group of young people were on a vacation trip to Panama City Beach. We were staying in several of those dive motels on the strip down near La Villa. After an afternoon of drinking and partying, we were all out on our balconies. The hotel next to us had balconies directly across from ours. So, the whole group could hang out together and party even though we were in different hotels. One of the younger guys on the opposite balcony was very intoxicated. We all witnessed him attempt to jump from his 3rd floor balcony over a 25-foot span onto the 3rd floor balcony next to the one I was on. There was no way a mere mortal could have made that jump. We all knew it the second he dove off the rail. He jumped as if he were diving into a pool head first. Of course he didn't make it. He landed head first on the concrete path below. Shockingly, he broke his neck and fractured his skull but survived the fall. In a single instant, that fateful decision he made without a thought to his safety ruined his entire life. The fall rendered him a quadriplegic and caused enough brain damage that he was barely more cognizant than a vegetable. I'm sure he and his family had wished that the fall had killed him instead of leaving him in that state for the next 32 years. He died at the age of 50, having spent the entirety of his life after that day in a bed, locked into a body that he could not move and with thoughts in his mind that he could not express. So incredibly tragic. I went to school with this guy. He's not much older than me. We will call him Charles. Charles wasn't an attractive or even social person, but he was nice. It was 2 years after he graduated that he met this female. She told him that she was 17 and he was 20. It's not legal, but 3 years is better than some age gaps I've seen. He told me that she looked older. I still advised him to stay away from her. I had a friend who was 14 and looked well into her early 20s and lied about her age saying that she was 17. The men believed her even though I told them not to. Charles had sex with this 17-year-old and he found out that she was 13. He said it was love and that all would be okay, but within a few days after his parents and I telling him to walk away, he got caught by the police and had to go to prison. The last time that I heard from him was in 2005 where he wrote me a letter saying that he should have listened to me. Pedophiles who get caught seldom get off of the ex-offender registry and not have a record linked to their name. Some people just need to learn their way, and with Charles getting caught, maybe he has learned his lesson to not do that again. My dad is an alcoholic and he gets really violent when he drinks. And when he and my mom were still together they were like petrol to fire. 2 years ago around December my mom and dad used to fight a lot more than they usually do. They were on the verge of having a divorce. My mom just waited for him to give her a reason. One day he got home and we were watching TV. He and my mom started fighting and he grabbed her by the neck. I got really bad and told him to get the fuck off my mom. He went totally nuts. He literally kicked the TV through the window, smashed my mom's computer and ours box. There was glass everywhere and then he just left. They had a divorce like a few weeks after. It wasn't hard for me at all. My dad used to beat us as well. So when my mom threw out his clothes he took petrol and lit it on fire. His eyebrows burnt if I was wheezing, and he lost everything. It's 2 years later and he still is an alcoholic and still gets aggressive and he's still not over my mom. I was 20 at the time and I was working driving a phone company vehicle. I was traveling along a busy 4-lane road. As I was approaching a stoplight that was green for me and oncoming traffic, a school bus blew the red light and T-boned an oncoming car. I hit the brakes and I'm like, WTF, a police car is right there. I pull over and run to the car. You could see 4 girls in the car unconscious. Because it was a school bus in an accident, parents were running from all over. The police were trying to get the doors open and get the girls some help. I had a crowbar and was doing my best to pry the door open. Finally the police and fire got the girls out. I heard the next day 2 of them had died. It was surreal looking them in the car. I didn't see blood all over. It was surprising. Maybe I just didn't notice. I live not far from there and think of those poor girls that died that day when I drive by there. The bus didn't have any fatalities but I'm sure injuries. This was way before seat belts were enforced. I don't know how long it took. I wasn't around as I'm some 3,000 miles away. He is still, my best friend since I was about 11 and he a bit younger. His mom, dad and sister were family. Seems he was suddenly a severe alcoholic. I don't know what happened. Crappy marriage maybe, probably. I didn't like her from the first second I met her. I had no idea what he was doing with her. In my opinion he should have never even gotten to the point of saying what he should have said. I don't. I've tried to intervene by phone and in person. Seems like it takes hold some but then not. His sister and her husband have done all that's possible. Even bought a house for him to live in when he lost his. He doesn't care, ruining the house. We're all waiting for the crash. Nothing else till bottom is it. Or worse. I wonder that had we not moved far away when I was 17 would things be different for him? Would my presence have made his life better? Who knows, it's a terrible thing to watch. I met a pro tennis player in Canada. He was an amputee. Double. 2 legs and feet. Both gone in a split second. Dumb decision. He'd seen a TV movie when he was about 12. The stunt guy had dropped down onto a passing freight train. We had a lot of those in BC. Hauled cedar chips mostly. John, not his real name, joked with friends about how he could do that, too. On a dare, he did. But he missed. He and his legs ended up in front of the train, not in top. In seconds his days of enjoying his legs and feet were history. On prosthetics he's like 6 feet 4 inches tall. Nice looking guy standing or in a chair. Accomplished athlete. But reality, he reports his prosthetics hurt so he prefers the sports chair. He still drives and all. But how fast life changes.